Hey, Charles.
Hey, brother. What's up?
Aloha.
Aloha to you too.
I love it when it works. I really do. Okay, everything is working here. We turn that
Yeah.
down, and we are set, bro.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday. Um, Pretty soon it's Halloween, man. Couple more nights. Apparently, Halloween is causing a stir on Oahu. I watched. By the way, tonight we have. First of all, I guess we should start by saying welcome. Welcome, everybody, to Facebook Live. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight we have Senator Kalani English and Representative DeCoite, our state delegation for Lanai. They're going to give us an update and tell us what's going on with our sister county over there.
Mhm.
So I'm sure it'll be very enlightening and interesting. And all right, here we go. Okay, you two look rested. Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I got hit by a bus today, man. I don't know why. I just telling Patsy, man, I'm super exhausted. I'm not sure why. I had a lot of coffee today, but not sure. But anyway, please share. Please share. Share. I know we forget this every so often, but please share. Share, share, share. The message tonight can be very. There goes Patsy.
Sorry.
Um, like I said, our state delegation from Lanai, from the county of Maui, will be on tonight to share with us what's going on in our little sister county over there, little sister island. They're approaching the three-digit number of cases. I think they're up to 97 today.
Yep.
And somebody said it's just 2 days away from the Mel and Charlie look-alike contest. Oh gosh, that'd be interesting to have somebody dress up like Mel and Charlie. It'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I did pick up some prizes today. The Kauai Visitors Bureau, Sukanoho, and their staff provided a nice little gift bag, so that will be part of the prizes. We have a, huh? Oh yeah, Jenny YY Vega donated some goodies from the Kauai Shores Hotel. We got some cash donations that's coming in that we're gonna apply towards some gift cards. We have gift certificates from Wong's, from Smiley's, Wailua Granola. So it's gonna be fun. And if you guys know anyone want to donate and add to the prizes, be our guest. We just wanna make it fun for the kids, really, and some of the parents if they want to participate. But definitely we'll have some good prizes. Saturday night, 7 o'clock, right here on Facebook Live. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So what's on your mind, Charles? You look bothered.
Well, I think, well, first of all, I'd like to say aloha to everybody. Aloha and welcome. Uh, if you had a chance to watch the news last night, we had our very own Dr. Janet Berriman on the news last night, talking about that one case where it came in tested negative and subsequent was a tested positive. And she made a statement to the fact that, how, well, it would be what the mayor wanted originally. You can see how um, she basically was saying that, you caught it after, and that's what we've been talking about all the time. And what bothers me so much is that here's a professional who kind of knows what it's going to take. But because of the institution, that's the way I look at it. It's not her fault. But because the institution belongs to, she has to go along with what the rest want. And yet you can almost sense that she knows what's right and what should be done, but unfortunately it can't be done because the governor had the last say on this whole thing. So that's the only thing that bothers me. But for the most part, I'm okay. I'm okay today. I guess I feel I took my I went to go take my ammonia shot today, but you got to be 65 or take two ammonia shots. So I settled for one Clorox shot, and that was I took my flu shot today. And so for all of our seniors, 65 and over, if you haven't taken your pneumonia and if you haven't taken your ammonia shot, I mean ammonia, pneumonia, as well as your flu shot, and also for shingles, if you haven't uh, if you haven't had anything like that. Also, there's also been something wrong with the video feed. It went into an error loading mode. Did you see that?
Nope, looking good. And I'm watching it on Patsy's Facebook account.
Okay, so it just must be on mine. Okay, there, it's going good now. So for the most part, I could be having some reaction to the shot. I mean, after I took it, I kind of felt like, ooh, it was one of those things. But I'm happy to be with all of you today, tonight, I should say. You, my brother, I hope I know we're gonna have a good time with our two guests, and I hope they can. I think what's going to be interesting for everyone is just, let's just piece the steps and how this thing, if we're not careful, how the thing can just take off on you one time that it did, and maybe they have information that they can share of how it happened that way. I would like to know, because we can speculate right now, and somebody did make uh, a posting that everything seems very odd now that we don't have numbers like we used to have before of testing and all of that. We Nobody can find it, and it's just we're just being told what numbers are, but there's no way of, because many of us kind of like to tinker around with numbers, right? Now we don't have the ability to go and check because it's not being released like how it used to be. How it used to be.
Things change every day. I look at the cases on Kauai and the other islands, and then even then, you hear about how they remove cases. Oh, we took that positive away. Whoop, we took that uh, cases away. Oh, this guy tested positive, but now he's negative. I'm just over it already. They didn't have this issue before we opened up on October 15th. They weren't trying to convert positives to negatives before October 15th. It's just now because they got to show the people that the opening on October 15th didn't impact our numbers. They're trying too hard now. It's so obvious. They never had this crap before October 15th. They never did. We had another case today, by the way. I know you talked about the news last night, Dr. Behrman. We had another case today on Kauai. Passenger flies in on a negative pre-test, gets a second test on Kauai, test positive, isolated, in quarantine. Bottom line is that ain't working. Remember, uh, the mayor's office, Sarah Blaine, said 18%, conservative estimate, 18% of people eligible to take a second test are taking the second test. So if you subtract 18 from 100, you get 82% of the people that are eligible are not taking the test. 82%. So while I applaud the mayor for doing this voluntary testing program, the governor needs to give the mayor the authority to mandate that second test after a quarantine period. You want to stop this crap? Be serious. Don't play around with this thing. I listened to, it's so funny. Remember about a week or so ago, Mayor Caldwell was talking to everyone about Halloween, right? That everybody go have fun Halloween, just practice, wear your mask. And today he's begging people to not, please don't congregate. Don't. We're in a good place right now. We want to get to tier 3 or whatever they want to do. We got to keep our numbers down. No, we need to do what we got to do to isolate this virus. And it does mean staying home, no congregation, wearing your mask. I mean, it's, come on, guys. We know the game. We know the rules. Let's do it. But the bottom line is this: our mayor had it right. Our mayor went, the only mayor that went and fought for the people of our island, and he got shut down by the governor. So we're doing the next best thing, offering a voluntary test, and that voluntary test is locating people that did not, that the pre-travel test system failed, and we're catching them here on Kauai. So thank you, Mayor. I just wish the governor would reverse his decision and allow the mandatory testing 3 days or 4 days after your arrival. So yes, I am a little perturbed about that. Whenever I hear about a case coming in that got their negative from their trusted partner, and then come on Kauai, quarantine free, and then testing positive 3 days or 4 days later, that perturbs me. So anyway, we have Senator English in the waiting room. Charles, boom.
Okay.
Positive 3 days. And there's a beautiful view of his living room or dining room, or what a nice house. Look at his big screen TV. Look at the wooden furniture. That's gorgeous.
Well, because I'm watching you guys on Facebook, yeah. So I'm listening to your whole discussion.
Oh,
and I was making my guava juice.
Oh, perfect. I get my water.
Yeah.
Locally purchased water. So look how where we've come in society. We buy water from. I buy from.
I don't know about you, but I have locally grown water right here. Locally grown.
Well, we used to have. I live in the Wailo house lots. We have two wells right above our house, right on by the Sleeping Giant. Two wells that made the best water on this island, right out of the pipe. And then over the years, we capped off the well, and now we get surface water, treated surface water, pumped from Lihui to Wailua. So I buy my water because that water just no taste like water. But anyway, Senator Kalani English, thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you guys.
For those of you that don't know, Senator English is our senator of, for tonight's purposes, Lanai, of course. Where is your district exactly?
It's the largest district. It's the largest district in Hawaii. So I have the islands of Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe, and then everything east on Maui. So if you go from the airport is in my district, Kahului Airport. You look towards Haleakala, everything you see there is my district.
Wow.
And I live in Hana. So.
And you in what?
And I live in Hana.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you again. We'll wait a little bit for Representative DeCoite, but I did want to say I watched your on the yesterday's Transportation Committee meeting. I really appreciate you, man. Really appreciate you and speaking up, speaking out, giving credit where credit is due, but yet pointing out issues that are of concern and clarifying a lot of things. For me, especially, I said it last night. I got schooled yesterday watching that meeting. I really did. I got educated and so thankful that you guys were all on. You and I could not remember the transportation guy. What's his name? The guy was on at the committee meeting from the DOT from airport.
Was Ross Higashi, the deputy director for airports.
Bingo. Yeah, man, I couldn't remember his name. I should have wrote it down, but definitely a lot of.
They work very hard. Most people don't understand the constraints that the federal government has on our airports. So, they have to pull off miracles every day to adjust the system for an inter-island. We're the only state where you fly over international waters to get to different parts of our state, right? In North Continent US, you're flying over all US. Most of it, we're the only ones that fly over water. So we have all kinds of federal rules that have to be adjusted for us in Hawaii, right? And these guys work really hard to make sure that our airports run well. You guys know your airports in Kauai run very well too. And because we got guys on the ground that, work hard, know the rules, and then negotiate with the feds almost every day about, well, we got to do it this way in Hawaii.
Well, Senator, I know our time is limited, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and then Lynn can jump in when she gets on. Sure. But we wanted to kind of focus tonight and really the hour is yours, but we could really focus on Lanai. A lot of questions, a lot of people praying. First of all, we want to send our prayers and our love to that island and entire county of Maui. But we feel helpless too. Like we're here, we're watching the numbers increase every day, and listening to the news reports, listening to some of the residents that were interviewed by some of the reporters. And my gosh, man, it's heartbreaking. It's heart wrenching. It's a sad situation. And again, for myself, I feel really helpless. Like there's nothing really we can do. So we thought that the best thing we can do is bring you and Lynn on, so we can really understand what's really going on. How you guys did so well for the entire time, and then got hit really hard. So
right. So let's look at it this way. What's the lesson that we can take from what happened on Lanai for all of Hawaii? I think the first thing is that Lanai did very well during the lockdowns in the very beginning. They have a very good medical infrastructure. There's 3 medical facilities on the island. There's different numbers for population, but my best guess now is about 2,000, maybe 2,500 is the population. At one point, before it was sold to the current owner, it would drop down to about 15,500. So, it's bounced back a little bit. But the lesson that I have come away from this with is that Lanai was well prepared. Their medical infrastructure was prepared. Their emergency response systems were prepared. They had plans in place. And frankly, because they were so well prepared, they jumped into action really quickly. And that's how they were able to, do the mass testing, get everybody in line. They have systems in place to food distributions, quarantine areas, people for them to go, cleaning supplies, disinfecting, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the lesson for all of us is that this virus at some point will go to every part of this planet. And we have to have plans in place locally, when it happens, when it comes in, what do we do to respond, right? So because Lanai was so well prepared, their medical, one of the first things they did is they test all the entire 100% of the medical providers, the EMT people, all of the providers on the island got tested because they needed to be sure so that they can help the population. Then they said, okay, let's get out there and let's start testing, everyone 5 and above. And they did a good job. Hey, Lynn, welcome.
Hey, hi, how's everybody? Sorry.
So I think that's the biggest lesson of Lanai is that it's going to come everywhere. It's really no one's fault at this point because it's all over the planet. And we all have to be prepared locally. So because Lanai was so well prepared, they responded very quickly and in a good way. And they knew what they needed. So they asked for the backup support that they needed. The things they didn't need, they said, no, we don't need that, but we need this. So I think, going forward, right, for all of us in Hawaii going forward, local communities should have their plans in place on a real local level. In other words, for you guys, what is Makaweli doing? How would that, if something happens up there, do they have places that people can go to isolate? Because it's still old families, a lot of people in the house, right? So one person gets sick, do they have a room for them, a separate bathroom, or do they have some houses somewhere that they can go? Do they have a system in place to make sure they get food, they get supplies, things like that? For me, that was
I wanted to ask you a question, Senator, and hi, Lynn. Good to see you too. For an island that's privately owned, I guess there are some things that can be done as opposed to the other islands. Has the owner kind of created a very narrow tunnel for people coming to that island? Because and I say that because when you have something that's kind of restrictive coming in, you can keep a better handle of what's coming in. Because again, this virus didn't just pop up, and we know that and Mel and I said a couple of nights ago, I think the one that's selling us on this race thing, or I should say tourist and local, is the LG. I said, just keep it to traveler, whether it's a resident returning or if it's a visitor. Just say traveler. Okay. So I wanted to find out from you if the owner has created that corridor to make it more manageable, I should say, because I think every county would love to have that. I think Harry Kim tried that on a Big Island, right? Having that test as soon as you land, and then it was doing wonders, and then all of a sudden, boom, disappeared for whatever reason. It went away. So what's your take on that, Senator or Lynn?
Lynn, you want to take a stab at that, or you want me to?
You know, I just like say this, you know, it had to have gotten there somehow, right? Number one, knowing that the isolation point was, you know, within the house workers, you tell me, money buys a lot. And I will say this straight. You know, as I sit here on Molokai, just got back from Maui, and I look towards Lanai, I can see the jets taking off. We're not ignorant to the fact that, you know, okay, who's screening that? We have side gates like that of Molokai. And at times it's our local workers that see them and they said, hey, send us a picture and say, hey, Lynn, look, this guy's coming in. You know, they're not getting screening. I'm not saying that that's what happened on Lanai. I wasn't there. But at the same time, it calls to believe that as workers that are there, you ask yourself the question, they never leave, but they got them. And then to then meet, whether it be at that funeral or that place or where they were, you know, it's, you know, generation families are living in a house. You know, Senator and I have had this conversation. Of course, Senator knows I love to like just lay it on, but you know, you gotta remember that it has to be some kind of travel related here. And I'm very humbled by Lanai and the people of Lanai in how they came about. Senator and I have conversations with everybody on the ground. You know, one in particular, I'm gonna say this, Susu. You
Susu,
know,
yeah, Susu
she,
Wusu.
yeah, she's gone above and beyond, you know, helping people. She constantly calls us, which I tell them, call us, you know, out of respect to you guys. We want to make sure that the people are safe, they're quarantined, that they have those resources, whether it be food, water, medication. We're in constant contact with Mayor Victorino, also with state government and our colleagues. You know, this is a group effort. Jenna Hara has played an unbelievable role in this, along with the LG. And you know, some days we're not on our game, and other days as we try to make sure that, you know, we make sure that the information is as accurate and precise as it can be. People want us to give an exact number. Well, in the vicinity, you know, we had a long meeting today with Haima and our colleagues, and it was that, you know, you look at the Molokai numbers, went to 19 to 17. Then we trying to figure out, was it all Molokai? Well, maybe that person was in Lanai, in Maui, took the test, that number was registered there. So I learned a lot today, listening in on how these numbers can move about, how people can move about. When all is said at the end of the day, it's, do we have those resources available? Has government done its job? You know, we've gotten bashed left and right. We haven't done jack shit for Lanai. And that is like pissing me off right now because, you know, we spend a lot of
A lot
priceless
for
days and
providers.
nights,
Yeah.
you know, we're zooming in our homes while our kids is like, hey, you guys ever getting off these machines? And, you know, call it what you like. Our mission and our job is to protect the people. And even if it means protecting you from yourself, we've had the comments, why we gotta wear a mask? We're not saving lives. No, it's to stop you from your spit getting on the next person so we don't hurt them. We don't hurt the person next to us, because I'm married to one Portuguese. I love
Go,
to
go
use my
easy. Go
hands and
easy, girl.
talk. You know, Mel, it's like the Snickers bar is coming out. I don't care, but you know, it's about making sure that we protect the people. And you know, I believe it was travel. That's me. I'm gonna say it. I believe it had travel related, and I'll probably get scolded once I get off this machine tonight. But it had to come there. Period.
Well, but that's the point. That's the lesson I was getting at earlier was, you know, it almost doesn't matter how it got there because it's going to get everywhere at some point.
Yep.
So the two things, you know, Lynn and I talked about this quite a bit because she said it. We get asked, what's the exact number? And you know, the number of people infected is really not, I mean, it's almost irrelevant. It's okay, let's stop that number. Let's stop others from getting infected, right? And that's why the lockdown, that's why the stopping of movement of people on Lanai is to stop the transmission. So, we need to just say, okay, the numbers are, they're an indicator, but not the end all. I mean, once we show that we stopped it and slowed it down and then stopped it, that's what we're aiming towards. But to answer your question, Charlie, just, yes, Lanai is 98% owned by one person. They've been very supportive. They brought in like 10,000 tests, right? So that's like 3 tests for every person on the island. They've also been very good about making sure that they're the largest employer on the island. During the entire pandemic, they kept people working, and they kept paychecks coming in, and they kept the economy going on Lanai. So, kudos to Pulama Lanai Company for taking care of the people there, keeping people working, jumping in when this happened. They're providing a lot of, I'll just say it like this, a lot of background support. Stuff that, you're not going to see up front, but it's in the back. And then, to Lynn's point, because this is the big issue on Lanai, and we hear them clearly, and we also share the same frustration. The largest port entry into Lanai is not the airport, it's the harbor, right? That's where most people come in. There only is one harbor master, they cannot really keep it patrolled all the time. And then the airport, the private jets, this is the thing. So we have a lot of very wealthy people that have homes on Lanai, sort of a separate gated community from the rest of Lanai City, but they'll come in on their jets and, we don't know if they've tested, if they did their paperwork, whatever. There's a gate that's open at the airport that they can just cross through. I mean, Lynn and I were talking about, maybe we should ask DOT to lock that gate. It's more complicated. Legally they have to have a way for people to get through, but how do we monitor it? Because if I'm flying in on a private jet, who's saying, did I do the test 3 days beforehand? Do I have a negative test? Who's checking it when you come through? They just walk through the gate and go home, right? So those are the poorest parts, the harbor with people coming by boat from Oahu, from Maui, from Molokai, and then the airport when people coming in on private planes. So even though, Lanai is trying, the owners of Lanai are trying to put some parameters on their guests and their people coming through, it's the people they sold the homes to.
We have that here. I mean, we have private jets. There were 2 sitting on a tarmac today at Lihue Airport. We had a report last week of a private jet landing in Princeville that had been granted an exemption from the Lieutenant Governor's office, a complete exemption. And those are the things that really piss off the local people. And if they land at Lihue Airport, there's a mechanism in place right now where the crash fire meets the plane, airport management meets the plane, and they're screened at that point. Not sure what happens when everybody goes home. There's some airport security, which is contract security, it's not state. There is no airport management at night. But I think that's always going to be a problem. We don't have the same problem as you all with the ships or boats. We do have a lot of yachts and sailboats that come in and go to Honolulu and some of the other harbors, but private jets will always be an issue, and we got to figure out a way to make sure that they are following the rules, especially in Lanai, where these people are going to come in contact with the local people.
Well, so like today, Lynn, can I just tell them a little bit about some of the, the stuff that Lynn had? So Lynn flew in from Molokai, and very early, I believe it's 6 in the morning, right? We get a text from, I'm in Hana, we get a text from Susu saying, okay, it's raining. We need basically hazmat gear because they're delivering food to people, right? And here's the sizes we need. And we need raincoats because it's finally raining. So I'm in Hana. Lynn, her text back is, I'm getting off the plane. I'll take care of this. So she goes and runs, gets this stuff, right? Then works out getting it to them. So, I mean, it's like, okay, they need stuff. We try to get it done. So that's what Lynn ended up doing today, was making sure that these things got over to them. There's also somebody donated lettuce, right, Lynn?
Yeah.
Right.
Sensei.
Yeah,
From
Sensei.
Lanai back towards those that are in quarantine on Molokai. And, like Connie said, 6 o'clock this morning. And, for us, the people are our priority. Yeah. And when they call, we know it's not as if they're calling for nothing. They're literally calling, they're protecting themselves, they're protecting the people that they're servicing. Um, you know, I came back to Molokai this morning. You're asking for different things, and like we carry it because our farm, we carry it. We make sure that our workers are first foremost safe. They safe for whatever reason. And I said, hey, Maui ran out. Like I went to Nakba, I said, this is all we have. So luckily, I always keep stuff on hand. Called them up. I couldn't make and get it on the plane, so that's going out tomorrow morning. Which in fact, they're texting me right now, and I, but this is the kind of relationship that it takes. You call, we answer. We're challenged with service of communication and so forth. I want to go back to what Senator said earlier. I mean, don't get me wrong. Pulama has done a lot. I mean, they've brought on 4 contact tracers. They brought in the machines. But as an owner that owns 98% of that island, hell yeah, you best be doing that. You show your empathy and you show that I'm here for the people on Lanai. But I agree that we have to suppress this. The numbers at this point, I mean, look at Texas, man. They're just surge testing. I was grateful to hear, even after our surge testing, I expected those numbers to be in triple digits on Tuesday. And, yeah, we 97. I hope it doesn't jump. But at the same time, even in Maui, I'm walking around, people no more their mask.
Right.
And of course, it's always about why I gotta wear them. I said, then stay home. We had them text the other morning, me and Kalani, hey, thank you, DOT, blah, 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 for the sign. And he analyzed, what sign? Of course, the sign is wear your mask, keep your distance and so forth. I don't know how many times you can be repetitive of saying that. How many times we can be saying, and we saw the graph this morning, right? The different levels of where the virus had spread. I mean, it was our local people. And I said, wow, I said, we saw it, but at the same time, we want the responsibility of those that are coming in to our islands. And of course, here comes the news on, boom, tourists, soon as I get off the plane. I was sitting at Kalani Airport. My husband across me, he goes like this, look that clown. No more even, soon he came up, ripped the mask off in the pocket. And it's like, Jesus Christ. How many signs we got to put up? Marvin is like, Lynn, I don't know how many more signs I can put up. I mean, I can
Marvin
say
is our airports manager, and he manages Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kalaupapa. His, the biggest area to manage.
Well,
he does a damn good job.
They have, well, what I wanted to say was, and the reason why I asked that question, the analogy I'll use is like on drug runner digging under the ground and taking the drugs from Mexico into the U.S., right? If law enforcement don't stop that, we just kidding ourselves. It continues to do that, and I think that's what we're faced with here. Because the thing that I get upset about is every time the LG will take a swipe and say, well, it's a local spread. Yeah, I know it's local spread, but you never once told me from the very get-go when it came on to Hawaii and trace back where it came from. Because actually the very first on Oahu was that poor girl that worked at Kolo Ranch, and she was infected. Now the only people that she come in contact was with visitors coming to Kolo Ranch. But yet nobody had the gumption to say, was it from then? Because they were just isolating on her. And that Putin basically got nailed with questions about, where could you have gotten it, this and that. And so that's where she worked. So I think, because, having been to Lanai, having, worked as a police officer going there, even when I was head of Shopo, checking with the members on that island, everything is isolated. I understand that. I remember when the old cell block was when shipping
Outside.
container, yeah, the shipping container, and they put a
Outside.
fence around, and the ACLU and all that made a big fuss, like, hey, you can do that kind, that's inhumane. But I worry too, and I know that the numbers are right at this point inconsequential, but yet we cannot keep on going, bringing them down, suppressing them, coming back up, suppressing them, because what can happen at the end of the day, and this is just Charlie Yona's opinion, you're gonna run out of supplies because you're going back and forth the whole time. If you're gonna get rid of it, you try hammer the thing one time and leave it there. And that's why I always said today, I put out a post, which I was very angry, but I did it because I wanted the lieutenant governor and governor to think of one thing. If we're gonna do what we're doing now, and should something go horribly wrong, you better not get a knee-jerk reaction, and I've always said this, and close down the entire state. If the surge is on, example, in Waianae, no go close down Hawaii Kai if nothing's happening over there. You concentrate on where the thing is at and do your job right. And I said, I know it's hard, and I know, it's a Monday night quarterbacking thing, but I think that's why a lot of local people are getting hard time to buy into the program, because that's what you want. You want the locals to buy in, use your mask, and and then of course when you see our visitors coming, like you said, Lynn, they tear them off. Everybody get angry when they see that, because you don't know for that split moment in time if the exposure can happen. That's always the question, because it's that invisible boogeyman, right? And you don't know when it's going to happen.
So I agree with you, Charlie, and I've said this all the time. You know, as a legislator, um, we don't have that power. I always, and I've always taken that road of let's just get it over with, shut it down for the 2 weeks, and let's not prolong the agony. And these 2 weeks came. Look how many months we're into this, and now nobody believe. We've lost the trust in people that, oh, we're doing good, we're doing good. Boom. Okay, here we go again. But if we took the high road and just to nail that thing straight on and said, hey, we do them like this, not penny ante this thing and small little baby steps. So we're in the dilemma because of poor decisions that, people not gonna listen. They're not gonna listen. And it's gonna probably end up in a massive breakout again, because just look, I mean, Ala Moana, people walking around Ala Moana. It doesn't matter, I mean, it's unstoppable. And when we go down, we get comfortable again and we go right back up. And it's like you said, we had this the other night on one of our Zooms. This is on fire, brewing underground, just watching, waiting for the right moment to just poof, poof, flares and fire.
Lynn, thank you for bringing up the Zoom, because, Lynn and I mean, every time that there's been something major in part of our district, we set up a Zoom community meeting immediately to talk to our district. And, we did this early on. We did this with Molokai. We did it with Hana. We did it with Lanai as well early on. We did other parts of our district, and nothing, it was the same with this, right? As soon as, wait, you guys disappeared for a second. There you are. As soon as we got word, and, we said, okay, let's talk to the community, because the first thing we wanted to do was get accurate information to the people there. And also, okay, here's the things you should be doing now. Here's what's coming. Here's what your medical community is preparing for. It was a huge Zoom meeting. We had at one point about 470 people on Zoom. And then on Facebook, we had, a couple hundred more following. But I think it gave people some, okay, there's people listening. We took the questions. Mayor joined us, right? Mayor Victorino, we had Department of Health, we had people that could answer questions. And the doctors on Lanai were the ones that gave the most, the best information, because they know what's going on the ground. So I think that, the technology allows us to communicate differently than we used to. And, it's worked. And we've been very pleased and very happy to do it, both Lynn and I. We're going to start doing every Wednesday night, right, Lynn? Yeah. So starting next week, Wednesday, every Wednesday until, probably mid or ending of November, Lynn, myself, Mayor Victorino will be doing a Zoom meeting with Lanai. And basically, okay, here's where we are. What's the questions? Any information we need to pass on. What do you guys need? Things like that. So, we don't expect a 2-hour meeting like the last time, but it might be a half hour or an hour meeting. But the technology is there, right? We could never do this before. So I think that's been really good. In fact, in the early part, there are some people in other parts of our district, Makawao and for me, Kula, saying, hey, what about us? And we said, we're taking care of you, but if we're doing a Zoom meeting in your community, it means that something is up there, right? So just because we didn't, reach out to you guys via Zoom, we're concentrating on the areas that that are hot, right? But Lynn and I were talking the other night too. After the second Zoom meeting we did with Lanai, we had the National Guard on, and they did a really, really outstanding presentation on just what coronavirus is, how it's spread, just really in depth, really piece by piece, and everybody learned. I mean, at one point they were going over what the virus lives on, right? And it says, okay, plastic bags, it lives on 7 days. And one of the nurses on the island said, oh my God, you could hear it in the background. Oh my God, that's how we transport our samples. We got to change, we cannot put them in plastic bags anymore. So we all learned something that night. So, we're talking about maybe doing this asking the National Guard to do that presentation in different parts of our district now, right? Not waiting until there's an outbreak, but we do it now. So, again, it's evolving, continually evolves.
One of the things that the cases of Lanai has showed all of us is how infectious this disease and how contagious this disease can be. I think, and I agree with you, Senator. I mean, we can say 94 cases, 100 cases, whatever it is. We got to look ahead. But I think that was if people didn't realize prior to Lanai how bad and dangerous this virus was, this should have done it. This should have done the trick. You guys are ranked now. They count these cases per 100,000 population. That's kind of the standard, and you guys are probably really very close to 3,000, if not, maybe even a little over 3,000 per 100,000 population, which is high. It's up there with those hot states. So it's an eye opener. It's a wake up call. Mayor Caldwell today on his press conference, not sure if you guys watched it, but this is the first time I heard someone in any kind of leadership position say, we should have done things differently. I wish we had done things differently. Okay, it's not too late, right? It's not too late to do things right. And I think that's the frustration we see from the administration is we gotta, like you just said, Lynn, we gotta lock this down and I'm not saying lock down the world, but we need to isolate this virus. That's what we need to do. And when we do things like allow people to fly in on a one test 72 hours before departure, that's not being safe. When we allow people to roam freely without that second test, that's not being safe. When we talk about mask mandates but don't enforce mask mandates, we're not doing things safely. And that's I think where talk is cheap. Really, talk is cheap. You can go there and say, yeah, I wish we did things differently. We've learned a lot. Now we know. But the action, follow the words. We're really not doing anything differently. Think about it. His goal in Honolulu is to get to tier 3 as soon as he can. He wants to open more, but right now we don't even know. I think we know, but we don't want to recognize or accept the reality of what's going to happen in the next week or two, based on what we're seeing. We just had our second case today on Kauai of a passenger flying in on a negative pre-test, taking a voluntary second test, a positive. I think that might be the third one so far here on Kauai in a very short period of time.
The problem, well, I agree with you, and I think Lynn does too, right? That we would like to see a second test. I can tell you that the countries that have it. So the one that I know very intimately is French Polynesia, Tahiti. They have very similar to us. You do a 3-day test before you come in. but they give you, you have to take a test 4 days after you're there. And that's how they've caught almost all of the people that have come in, exactly what you described, where they come in on a negative test, but within that 4 days, they develop it. And that's when they're found. So the problem, and we learned this today in talking with, with the administration, the Lieutenant Governor, General Hara, and others, was, we can't mandate. We're barely getting away with requiring the test. So the feds, remember, we got sued by the feds on this once. Yeah, and luckily the judge threw it out. But it was the current federal administration that sued us on it, and they lost. But the idea was that we cannot hamper people from moving within the United States. So our argument, the state of Hawaii's argument, is that we're in a pandemic, and this is to protect the people's health. So that's why it's set up as a choice. You can either quarantine or take a test. That's how we're able to legally do it. We cannot say you must take a test or you cannot come. The second test, I know that everybody, the legal guys have been looking at all sorts of ways to mandate that second test, and we cannot do it under the federal system. So that's why Mayor Kawakami and Mayor Victorino here has said, okay, well, the next best thing we can do is do a voluntary test. So I think on Maui, the mayor was telling us like 800 people have submitted to that voluntary test. Okay, that's 800 we wouldn't have tested, right? But we're making the best of a really bad situation.
Well,
So
I think
I'm not defending it. I'm just telling you how.
No, I understand, but I guess my point is that we had a 14-day quarantine. We did, and we opted to provide a choice to get out of a quarantine by taking a test 3 days prior. Well, we could have very easily just said, you can get out of quarantine, but you will take a test 4 days after arrival. If not, that's a choice. If not, you stay on quarantine for 14 days. That's to me, but
that's how it's set up now. I mean, now you're just taking it 3 days before, and then you come. So right. I mean, you're saying if you come and take it 4 days after, it's almost half of one, half of the other, because you come in 4 days out, at least 3 days before, you can weed out a lot of people. But I prefer both. I really want both. I just don't know how we can make it happen. The mayors have done their best. Our mayors have done their best to say, all right, then the next best thing is, voluntary, right? But it's not.
The difficulty. I think we're caught in this junction, and I'm gonna go back when I first started in the police department. It was always wanted that we get bulletproof vests, but it was never a requirement. So when I was at Chopo, the statement was made, and I said, I remember saying this very vividly at our state conference. I said, okay, let me ask you this then. What will it take to mandate that everybody got to wear a bulletproof vest? You mean to tell me that somebody got to get shot and killed? Then you guys will say, okay, we need them. And guess what happened? That's what happened. And it was from that point on. So I think, I'm just reading some of the comments too, and I totally get it. The feds have stepped in, and we cannot hamper anybody's movement. That's true. But you won't have to worry about hampering movement if the person is so sick they cannot move on their own.
Oh, yeah.
They gotta look at stuff like that too. And
listen, I don't like what I really don't like how this has transpired. I mean, look at Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii is different than the rest of the United States, and we're different in that. Okay, we shut down early. We did all the right things, and but look at North America. It's raging, and it's raging because they're still debating. Is this real? Is it a hoax? Is it Come on, guys, get over it, right? It's happening, and it's moving all over the world. But then we get people. I mean, you guys all seen it, right? People come here and they say, "Oh, you cannot make me wear a mask," and it's like, well, why did you come? Why did you come if you don't want to comply with our law? You don't want to protect yourself, but protect everybody else, right? So I'm just as frustrated as everybody else, and the way the federal government has responded to this and has not worked with us, the local authorities, in putting forward a plan that works for us. Right. So I mean,
on
that's
the
the frustration we're all feeling.
on the testing, voluntary testing on Kauai, we just got the number yesterday from our mayor's office. 18% of the people eligible for a second test, basically that participated in the Safe Travels program where you take the test.
82% didn't.
18% came back for a second test.
Yeah.
So yes, we're catching very few of them, but and we're catching the positives. The question is, how many people did they infect before taking the second test? That's the first question. The second question, how many of the other 82% of the people that didn't participate, how many of them are positive and how many of them are out and about infecting people? And I think that we'll know in about 2 weeks, right? Yeah, either Charlie and I and a lot of our viewers are full of crap, or we have hit it on the spot and we're going to be in a world of shit. That's the way I see it. And I hope that we are wrong. I really do.
And I agree with you, Mel, because we're going to be in a world of shit. Because I mean, just today alone, I get on text and it says, Lynn, we were coming back. Of course, flights are limited. They take the test before they get on the plane. They can't get the results back. They do the right thing. They shelter in place. Usually takes 3 days, right, to get the test back. Well, they get the test back. Well, now it forces you to upload that sucker. Negative, upload them. You now need a verification, okay? It's 5 days now into this thing. Watching today, as we talked about safe travel, I'm like, okay, so what do? There's no number to call. You basically sit there, you wait. You're a mom and a dad, you trying to get your kids to and from. So I asked the question. So who they call? Because this is what's pissing everybody off. There's no communication. There's no good communication. And then literally what you do is you force that person to come out and move about. That's not good. Either we are going to get this shit right and do it the right way, or we're going to continue to prolong the agony, and this will continue to get worse and worse because everybody going to be, yeah, but look the other guy over there. He's not doing that. And look the other guy over there. Because you know what? It's not working. It's not working. Because I think for a state as small as we are compared to all other states, we should have had this under control a long time ago. And I am very frustrated.
I got a question real quick. As far as testing on Lanai, have you guys covered everybody already? All 2,500 or 3,000 residents, have they all taken the test so far, or a majority of them have? Do we know?
I think the majority of them have, and some of them are going on their second round of tests right now as we speak. We just had the 4 facilities now being able to certify with the waivers that they can do the rapid test there with the antigen. I think the last one that came on certified by Dr. Char, Director Char, was Lanai Kinaole. It was very important for us to make sure Lanai Kinaole had that certification to do it because they do home care. But I'm told as we speak that they are going on second round of testing for some of them on Tuesday. Some of the people that didn't do the surge testing did go in, and some of them was the workers from Kulama Lanai that then had that opportunity. I think my bigger concern is some of them that have kids on that island have not gotten immunizations for their kids. And I told them, I said, you got to get them. Some of them are pregnant, have been gotten in prenatal care. And, those are the ones that I'm really concerned about now. But I said, you need to go and get care, and you get it now because you can also be that asymptomatic. And of course, that same family has, the elderly living with them. And, we don't want that to go any further than them.
Yes, I would guess that 60%, maybe 65% of the island has been tested. And the goal, because the unique thing about Lanai is, with the 10,000 tests that came in from Ulama, and then with the other tests on there, there's enough to do 2 or 3 rounds of testing, which is what you want to do. Just so that we talked about earlier, right? Somebody tests negative and then 3 days later they test positive. So if we do 2 or 3 rounds, we should be able, to catch everybody. Yeah.
Somebody
I'm just concerned about the first round negative, second round positive, third round negative in a very short span of time where we know this virus doesn't go away in 2 or 3 days. That is, it's scary to me. It's just, it's just, I'm very curious, and I cannot wait to get back Dr. DeWolf Miller back on, or one of these testing experts to explain to me how you go from negative, positive, negative, all in a span of 3 to 4 days. I don't know.
Well, Mel and I have been tossing this around because we're going off the Big Island when they had 9 cases, right? Positive. Then somehow they did a second, a PCR test. They had false positives, so that eliminated 5. So now you have full positives. Then we found out that they took the samples of the full positive and they kept on retesting them until they all came out negative. So Mel had asked me, bro, how you think that happened? I says, well, do it this way. If you take one sample, you water them down enough, you won't get a negative result, especially if you test them over and over again.
Just on that point, Charlie, that's exactly what's happening with the test. That's why if you take it too soon, you'll come out negative because there's not enough of the virus in you.
Right.
So it needs to reach a certain level before it reaches positive. So, you just described this in the opposite, right? But that's exactly what happens. And okay, so maybe, so Lynn and I were battling with this and the mayor, all 3 of us were trying to, because, you hear all kinds of different numbers, right? That's why we're saying the actual, like, how many positives at this point is not, it's not the number we're looking at. We're trying to bring those numbers down. But they would test. They would get a positive test at the facility. It goes to DOH. DOH has to reconfirm all of those tests to see if they're false positives, So that there's we figured out a day and a half, something like that, delay in the numbers. So that's why you hear, people saying it's this number, and then Department of Health says it's this number, and then the next day they get the number everybody was talking about, right? Because they're having to do the double tests, and verification.
But we had asked this question before, and I'm sorry for laughing because when somebody take one test, you kind of would like to know if there's a method to quantify your viral load. Because if you can take 3 tests, you get 2 negative and 1 positive. Normally the equation, you're going to throw out the oddball, right? So you throw out the positive. So now in this case, you get 2 negative and 1 positive. What makes the positive so important that you throw away the 2 negatives? I said, do you have a way of quantifying what's going on? Not really, just that it's positive. I said, okay. So heaven forbid you get positive. And yet, you tested positive. Oh, now we're going false positive. I said, you guys went through all of this rigmarole. So now this is unfolding in real time. So now we get all our viewers going, Uncle Charlie, I don't know about that test. And really, that's all we get to go by. We have nothing else.
We do have something else. And
Okay.
this is the other thing. Everybody else, this is what our Dr. Pang on Maui's been saying. Assume you're positive. Assume that you're positive. Wear your mask, isolate, stay away. Just assume you're positive. That is the other way, right? And that will stop slowing it all down. So, we have, I've taken so many tests, because when I go to work on Oahu, but I've been very cautious. I go to work on Oahu, I take the test, come back, I take the test 4 days later, and I still quarantine. My yard looks great. The house is all the stuff I needed to fix is fixed. All the planting that needed to happen is getting done, but I just always err on the side of caution. And I think if we all do that, then we can really stop it or slow it down. But I just want to just say this though, right? For the people on Lanai, they are resilient. I mean, hats off to them because they were organized. They knew what to do. They got it together, and they were able to say, no, we don't need, because people were saying, okay, we're going to send this. No, we don't need this, but we need this, right? Because they did pre-planning. They have a, what is it? The Lanai Emergency Preparedness Group. Yeah. They have a group that's been working from the beginning, and Lynn and I have zoomed in with them, before before this, right? But hey, mahalo to all of them because their organization work in the last 7 months paid off when the first cases came in. They went into went into, quick action. And I think that quick action, really stopped some people from getting infected. Let's use the example of the school. They shut the school. The first infections were detected on Monday. They shut the school on Tuesday. Now, if you follow DOE protocol, that's not what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to wait until they got a couple kids sick in the school. But, we called, Lynn called, I called, others called, DOE, the principal talked to the CAS, talked to the superintendent. They all got together and said, okay, you know what? Shut it down. Then the next day, 3 cases. Then, I think the final number is like 15 plus kids were infected. Had we waited and followed the protocol that DOE had in place, you would have had a lot more kids infected. So, I think that, again, the fast, swift action of the people on Lanai really paid off.
Absolutely. I think when you look at your numbers, how it went from that initial, whatever it was, 4 or 6, and then it just went to the moon. And then very quickly afterwards, like today, it's down.
Yeah.
So yeah, the problem, and that's again, is the problem with this virus is by the time you find that first positive, the infection is already all over the place. No matter what you do at that point, you're not going to stop the cases from growing because the infection has already been made. So the question is, how fast can you react and respond to get the new case numbers down to what you folks have done at Lanai? And you guys did an amazing job doing that. I mean, you guys are practically back down to 0 in a very short period of time. Now it's a matter of making sure these people are that get sick are taken care of and treated. I did want to say that for me, the suspicious part for me is because pre-October 15th, Senator and Representative, when you tested positive, it was game over. You go quarantine, you go isolate. You couldn't get a second test if you wanted to. I'm sorry, you couldn't. And I remember asking every single doctor. We asked Miskovich, we asked the Lieutenant Governor on this show, why don't you do a second test before the guy goes back to work or goes back to school or goes back to whatever out of quarantine? Why don't you take a second test? Oh, because you don't have to do that. Studies have shown that once you spend that 10 days after the symptom or what onset, they have all these beautiful formulas. Pre-October 15th, they had every single freaking reason not to do a second test. As soon as we opened up the travel, no, we're going to test you until we get you negative. See, that's what pissed me off. Okay, if you were positive, treat them like they did before the travel opened up. You positive tourists, you quarantine until 14 days, if you had a symptom, 10 days after the onset, as long as you don't have fever for 24 hours, we're not going to test you. But no, now they test and they test and they test. Hey, stop the testing. We got one negative. Let the state know we got one negative. Whoo, put them in a paper. It was a false positive. That's the suspicious part for the two of you. I know this is not you guys. Please don't take this personal. I'm just saying that's just an observation from me who has been watching this shit from February, March, every single day. And we questioned that practice of, wait, hold on, time out. So you wouldn't test a guy a positive afterwards to make sure it was a real positive? No, of course not. No, you're positive. But man, now.
The other thing about this virus too is that, people have gotten it a second and third time, right? So it isn't that you develop an immunity to it the first time you get it. You don't. You get it, you get better, and then there's people that get it again and people that got it again in New York City, LA, other places. So, that's the thing, right? It's probably better to be very cautious because we just don't know enough about it. So,
and the one thing I do know though is that if you were a negative and a couple of days later you were a positive, so let's just say for some reason the latency period, you just hit it at the right timing, right? So when you took the test, was still dormant, you didn't have enough viral load, and then, oh shit, you hit the viral load, triggers the test. This much I know, that in 3 days or 2 days, your viral load not going to disappear with COVID. You know what I'm saying? So if you're positive on let's just say October 3rd, and that was your first test, and your first test October 1st was negative, you take a test on the 3rd and it's positive, the virus is not going to run away on the 5th. So there's an issue with the testing that's creating either a false positive or a false negative. That's a scary part.
You know, Mel, and everybody's system going to react differently. You know, I'm not one of a tester. I think even when you test, I agree. Get the second test, you know, because you need the viral load. Okay, you need it. But I gotta agree that pretend like you get them. Do not go next to one person you know that does have it, because what we learned in Lanai, we took it. What happened to Molokai? We were not prepared. We were not ready. The county was not ready for us. We were not ready for ourselves. Because the first thing we wanted to do, like when we see a tidal wave coming, we're going to run to the tidal wave. You know, this is on silent killer itself. And if it's there, you're one of those with underlying health conditions, your chances of, you know, acquiring that is really high. Pulama has brought in 10,000 tests. And like you said, test. You know, where does that get us even on the third test coming around? Because I can tell you right now, I know guys that taking the first test, social quarantine, where they go, Mahaoi, everything. You know, we have to self-discipline. We gotta self-discipline ourselves. And all we need is one egghead. But just come out there and just be careless and reckless. And we have them. They're all around us, you know, and I feel for the kupunas. I feel for them the most, because even when we go out and we do food distributions and we try to pace ourselves, guys, stay away, put your gloves on. Again, Lanai, very prepared. Tyvek suit, go out there, drop the food, everybody back away. Here's the food, you come and get it. You know, they are doing things by the book. And as we saw those numbers just go down, it tells us we're doing something right. How long we can hold this, you know, being locked up for 14 days. Try lock one dog in one cage and then let him out. That dog not gonna come out walking. That dog gonna be coming out. Let me out of the cage. I wanna like just move out. Same thing like Honolulu, right? Hurry up, open the bars. Let's get it on. You know, it's that kind of feeling. So, like Kalani said, he got his house painted, he got his yard clean. Well, he should have thought about me and come do mine too if he still had more time on his hands. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, it's this kind of things that you know, we got to be creative. And like, since Kalani had time on his hands, you know, go help the neighbor. You know, do something where, you know, like my neighbor is like, you know, was older and stuff. You go extend yourself out. You don't have to be within the 6 feet. And even now, like Dr. Peng tell us, 15 feet. You know, Mel, you talk a lot, right? We spit, and our spit goes far. But you know, the whole
Very
idea,
small.
yeah, and I mean, if we heave it, it can even go farther. But you know, we look at the whole thing and we learn from our mistakes. But I don't think some of us learning fast enough. I still think that we need a lot more help at what we're doing. And by carelessness and recklessness, we're not gonna be able to keep this under wraps, because as one section has flared, Big Island, Lanai, we've seen Honolulu coming down, and we've
Yeah.
seen the relaxation and the laxness of coming back out and wanting to do the things that we were so locked up and not doing. Yeah.
Well,
But
you know,
Here,
the
here,
one.
here's
Sorry.
the I'm sorry. Here's the bad thing about it, and this is just a take from um, someone who's in a peanut gallery. That's me looking from the outside in. I think everything you said tonight, there's a validation to everything you said, and that is, yeah, treat it as if you have it, right? The problem I see is that we are at a level where we haven't even peaked our numbers of those coming into the state. When you add that on, that in and of itself overcomes everything that we're doing right now. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to set up the parameters. So whoever comes in, we all operate under those same parameters, but it's not happening. So the danger that's going to come about this is that when it starts to spread fast, I can almost bet my life on it because I have asked these questions many times and nobody seems to have the answer. And that is, what is the threshold before contact tracing no longer is viable, no longer works? Because someone did tell us that in those states where the numbers, in fact, was Dr. Murtaza Akhtar, he said, when you get numbers high like what they're having in the States, he said, no matter how many contact traces you got, it's not going to work. So that's where I'm seeing where I'm getting a little afraid, is that we haven't really done a good job in managing what we have now. I mean, we've kind of working on it, because it had to take that new contact tracing person to kind of do away with thousands of numbers in one day, right? She, between September 25th and 26th, she threw away like 2,000 something cases and said, okay, now we're down to this. You know, how come it couldn't be done before? What was the magic for you to go through all those cases so fast and clear them? So I said, so now we're at a point, we just opened up our floodgates. Watch when it really starts to come. How do we manage a load on top of a load? And so what I'm saying is, until you cut Lanai down to zero, you shouldn't let anybody on that island until it's down to zero. Because if not, you're going to be like that cluster in Wahiawa or Waipahu that started and wasn't handled well, and you just let more things dump on top of that. The next thing you know, things starts growing out of control. To have that happen to Lanai would be a very, very bad thing, man.
Then that's the goal for Lanai. That's why the mayor, all of us, all three of us said, let's shut down Lanai, right? And we did. The people on Lanai were the ones asking, saying, shut it down already. Just do it. So, yeah, that is the goal. And I think, everything you guys said is valid as well. There's lots of concerns. And that's why the best way is to, assume you have it and proceed that way. Something Lynn said earlier that, kind of got me thinking, the 6 feet and all of that, those are the minimum. If you look at the World Health Organization, the UN standards now, they're saying 3 to 4 meters. Okay, so, 9, 10 feet, 15 feet apart. Basically, the farther apart you can stay, the better, right? And we're social animals, right? We're social creatures, and especially local cultures, right? We want to go hug and kiss, or even fist bump or touch or something, right? Right now, if we just stop that for a little bit, I think we can get it under control. But, just to come back to point, right? Lynn and I will always be there for Lanai. We work as a team, and we tag team a lot and do a lot of, you handle this one, I'll handle that one. So we're not, we cover more ground. But at the end of the day, it's the people on Lanai that really stepped forward, came forward and just went into action. So, I use them as an example because, they're the best example I've seen in Hawaii, right? Look at all the other outbreaks. It was kind of fumbled. Lanai, those doctors insisted, right? They said, no, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan we laid out. We're going to implement it right now. Even with Department of Health going, how, what you guys doing? What, right? They went ahead and did their protocols. So lesson, this is the lesson. Every community, be prepared. Think about your plans, the smallest communities, the biggest communities, how you guys locally are going to deal with it, right? And that's going to be the thing that I think makes it, when it does enter a community, that's going to be the one thing that tips it. Either we're going to get it under control or it's going to go viral.
And I just add this, Senator will always say this to me, Lynn, I'm the diplomatic one. You're the military one. And I said, no, it's not correct. But, when Lanai just started exploding, I was literally nobody on, nobody off, stop, freeze. Simon says, everybody freeze. And literally he was like, wait a minute. Mayor was like, wait a minute. I said, no, you said, you guys not listening to me. I said, because the guy over there never tests yet. And I'm not saying I don't trust you, but I need to be sure. And I still feel that way. I feel that way. That's why the minute, certain people said, we're gonna let them get off the island, I said, I catch you out of your house, I'll come get you myself. Because, we want to resume some kind of normality here. And, with Lanai at the pace that it is, and they're awesome. They never wait for Department of Health. I mean, they had their plan in action. Everything was moving. Even like the schools, talk about the schools. I mean, there is so much bureaucratic bullshit was going on that literally, they were picking up the meals, taking it, and then it got to the point where, oh no, you're not allowed to pick up the meals. And we're like, they're half an hour into the drop off.
Right.
I mean, it was like hot one, hot two, we're on a 2-yard line, 5 seconds on the clock. I gotta tell you this, Georgette Susu Woosley calls me up. I'm like tracking Randy down. Kalani's on not a Zoom, and I'm like, hey, Randy, this is the problem. I don't know who the guy's boss over there, but we gotta get the food to Lanai. The people need them. He said, hey, do what you gotta do, release the food. I said, I going. If not, I'm gonna send the 90 guys down there, go get their own food with COVID. I mean, come on, DOE, make up your bloody minds, because you know what? This shit is real. People are tired of, oh wait, don't do that. Oh no, that's what our frustration is at. We're frustrated. How do you stop that one person now that everybody in the community knows, and then you tell them, hey, stop, you're not to pick the food up, and the poor manager there who's like taking orders from my boss. Well, you know what? Do the right thing. Sometimes your boss needs to start reading the book, because we're on a 2-yard line and there's 5 seconds left, and this is a Super Bowl. So, get it down, be real, because Lanai, they're so resilient, they're gonna do what they gotta do. And that's why I think having this team of our diverse canoe district makes it difficult for us to work it. But at the same time, hey, you are gonna try to pass shotgun run, Kalani. I'm not running, you run out of quarterback. But that's how it's been working. And we rely on our colleagues, we rely on General Hara a lot. We rely on everybody. And even though we're told no, we cannot do that for this reason, we'll make it a reason how we come. Yeah, and it's about those solutions. Yeah. And sometimes behind closed doors, it's not pretty. Our discussions, but when all is said and done, it's the people in the front that we got to service them. We got to make sure they get those resources, and they've been getting them. And what I really like about Lanai, like Kalani said earlier, is we're sending all this stuff. No, we don't need them. Most places we send them, they take them all, and then they say, oh, we get plenty extra. You know what? The other people need them. So, take what you need so that there's enough for everybody to go around, and those that truly need it. So I always send my Allah to Lanai and my prayers, and as well as our entire district. But our mentality and the reality of life has to be changed, and it has to be changed now.
You bring up a good analogy. I love the football analogy, because I think life is just like, it's like football. And COVID really I was thinking about this today, where listening to, it seems like we get blamed, yet people, I mean, and you're right, you guys, we've said it from the beginning, just assume everybody get the damn virus, assume that you have the virus, and and nobody gonna get the virus. If we all think that way, and we all stay away, wear a mask, wash our hands, if we do everything assuming that group has the virus, then we're not gonna catch the virus if everybody does it. But it's constant, the reminders, the only way we can get out of this if you folks wear your mask, social distance, and all of that. But I think of a football game, and I think of a football game that comes down to the last second, and there's a kicker. And if he kicks the winning field goal, he wins. If he doesn't, the team loses, right? So the kicker kicks the ball and he misses the goal. He misses the field goal, they lose the game. Everybody blame the kicker. Everybody blame the kicker. But in reality, you had 60 minutes of football, or 59 minutes and 59 seconds of football before that kick. Yeah, the game plan was off. Not everybody did their job. Not everybody made the right block. We made mistakes all along the way, but they're always looking for that scapegoat. And I think Charlie brought this up earlier. If this shit goes sideways, and I don't want to hear from the governor and lieutenant governors, because we, the people, because you know what, if you did your job, and you made sure that the people coming into the state was safe and healthy and not sick, then we wouldn't be at that goal line with 1 second left having to make a kick. So it's everybody got to work together. Everybody got to do their part. Yes, we all do, and we play a big part as citizens, as people that live in this state. We play a big part in suppressing this virus by practicing the safe measures. But the game plan got to be right too. And I'm getting sick and tired of not one freaking person. This really pisses me off. I have not heard one person take accountability of where we're at today. Not one person came up and said, except today, Caldwell said we should have done things different. It's never them, it's always us. It pisses me off when we talk about the Pacific Islander community. The lieutenant governor called them out by name and said Micronesians. How unfair is that? Because you talked about our camp on Kauai. We get Kamakani, we get Pakala, we get all these old camps. It's all local Filipino, Chinese people living in those camps. Nothing to do with Micronesian, Polynesian, Caucasian, Filipino. No, this virus no care. And I hate when people put them in a bucket with Micronesians no. Our culture is that way. Kalani, you just talked about we like hug, we like kiss, we're social animals. So don't blame the race.
Yeah,
this virus well,
yeah, that's
like
absolutely true. Don't blame the race because it isn't. And just look at the, if you want to look at the numbers, look in North America, it's mostly Haole that are infected. You know what I mean? So if you want to go down that race thing, then, so you see, it's a false premise to say race. It's a human thing. This is a new virus that has never been in humans before, and that's why it's everywhere. That's why I tell people, look, it's in wherever there's human beings, this virus will end up, right? So in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, up into the Alaskan Inuits, to the Caucasus Mountains in Russia, to the Mongolia, it's going to be all over the planet. And until we figure out, more about how this virus operates, and then how we can, let's talk about this just for a second. I know we're running out of time, but the false idea of a vaccine. Look, this is like putting a guardrail on a race car track and say, okay, that's going to protect you. The vaccine is coming. The vaccine is coming.
Only from the cows.
Yeah, right. We never got the vaccine for the flu, right? We never got a vaccine for AIDS. All of these other viral diseases. So, I hope we find one, but to kind of give the false hope out there, it's coming in a month. It's coming right after the elections. I hope it does. I really do. But I don't know. For myself, just looking at the development of vaccines, we haven't found vaccines to common cold. We can't, I don't know how we're going to do this one. And it's changing so much. I pray we find.
I think Dr. Kim came on, and we had him on our show, and he did come on, and he said the problem is the promising vaccines. Some people have already gotten ill from it, so they had to back off, scale back.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and I didn't know a good friend of ours, Gary Lahans from HPD. He participated in a program because they don't tell you, but some of them get the placebo, and some of them get the real vaccine. And apparently he had a reaction to a 10-hour reaction, and he was on the news last night and was pretty, would be funny, come to find out they gave him the placebo, but his mind told him that he was reacting as if he had the vaccine. But he's not that kind of person. He's straight up. So it was one of those things.
Yeah.
But I would like to say this to both of you. I commend both of you for stepping in and getting, and I'll tell you the reason why, and getting Lanai where they need to get is, number one, you give them all the credit, but you folks never give yourselves enough credit, because it's hard. It's hard. We had the Senate president on the other night, and he said something that was so special, and that he said, I'll be the first one to say, I'm sorry, But it goes, sorry, it goes both ways. The other side has to say it too. And he was making mention that it's always this side saying that, okay, if we're not doing it right, we're sorry, we'll try something better. But it was never coming from the other side, and we all know what he meant. And a lot of the viewers appreciated that. So I just wanted to let you both know, from what I've seen, what I've heard, you guys are doing one hell of a job, and you folks are to be commended too. Like Mel and I, we just bring the information out. That's all we do. And it's funny because we almost seem like, people call us and he goes, I took one test, and what we're gonna, I said, well, I'm now an MD, but I'm pretty sure if you call your doctor, let him know, your symptoms and all that, he's gonna be able to tell you. But like, we bring the information out. You folks are in a position to direct and command. You folks are in a position. And I think every county needs their legislative representative to be in a position to start taking commands. Because I'm going to tell you this, and I don't say this to dong them, but I'm going to say it. The administration has not, for me, has not shown enough will that when the tough gets going, and they're in that position, I think they have taken the back door out. So if it's going to have to be a legislative person like you two, then I hope and pray they step up and they do it now, because troubled times are ahead, and you said it. We see it coming. It's just how much of a blow we can lessen so it's not that painful, right? It's going to come, let it come, but let's try and minimize it if we have to. I mean, we're going to have to minimize it. Just don't take it full on. And right now, the way the administration is acting, I don't think they want to be in a position. So thanks to you, both of you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Charlie. No, thank you,
Yeah,
Charlie.
you guys
Thank you,
are
Mel.
awesome. You guys are awesome. We wanted you guys to come on tonight to share a little bit about Lanai. I love the stories. I love the resilience of Lanai. I mean, you guys, I know you talked about Molokai, but I think people learn from Molokai. I think Molokai was one of those that scared a lot of people, including us. We all got friends on Molokai, and I think every time we come across a crisis like that in Molokai, we had one here on Kauai, a small cluster that, man, I was beginning to worry, like, are we ever going to get it under control? And we did. But every time that pops up, we all learn from that, and we do better the next time. This is a new virus. I mean, it's not something that that there's a book for. So we really wanted to just share from you guys that's there on the ground for our viewers what's really going on, because information is sporadic. You get 2 or 3 minutes of dialogue on the news, but it's always sensationalized and not everything. And I love the perspective we heard tonight of the Lanai people coming together and really tackling this thing and knocking it down relatively quickly. So thank you all. But Lynn, you got any closing comments for the viewers out there?
Just first, thank you, Mel, thank you, Charlie. Your guys' show has spread a lot of information. It has asked the hard questions. Like many of us, it's not just the two of us. It's a group effort. And while not every one of us is perfect, that's the dialogue and the opportunity that we get to have to express the concerns and the needs of the people, whether it be Molokai, Lanai, Maui, the state of Hawaii. And this job takes a lot of common sense, which is not too common anymore in the field that we work. I my my thing to people leaving here, talking with you guys tonight is it's real, and it's about what we do going forward. Um, we've been harassed, chastised, criticized, and when you fall, what they said, dust yourself off. If you ain't bleeding, you're okay. Get back up, learn from those mistakes, and make the changes necessary. Whether or not you're gonna keep beating on dead dog, you have to come to the understanding that there are people that have still think that this thing it's not hurting us, but it is. Because when you have an unhealthy community, you're gonna have unhealthy future going forward. But I wanted to thank you guys, and I wanted to tell the people just be safe out there. I wish everybody a happy Halloween. Make sure you send Charlie over some good chocolate. I did this unreal chocolate macadamia, and if I could, I would send it over to you guys. But when I do come back to Kauai, I'm gonna bring it for you guys. I actually did some baking. I did some baking last night, honey. Show me the chocolate. But anyway, you guys are gonna love it. But I thank you guys for always being spot on and having this information readily available. But to everybody out there, just be safe. Continue to wear your mask, and mahalo plenty. And thank you, Senator English, for everything that you've done as you and I continue to work together to help Lanai, and our prayers to Lanai as always. And to everybody, mahalo. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. And before we get to the senator, on Saturday night we're doing a very special Mel and Charlie Facebook Live. It's a Halloween costume contest virtual. So please feel free to enter. Just come in, put on your best costume. We get some amazing prizes for all of you.
Just like the lingo.
Yeah, Saturday night, 7 o'clock.
Scary, yeah.
Sounds good.
Senator, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts to the people?
Well, first, like Lynn said, thanks to both of you for inviting us and for having us on your show. We enjoy it because we like the frankness, just talking straight. And for our people in our district, I mean, Molokai, Lanai, Maui, incredible places and incredible people. And I think that, the lessons learned from all of the experiences have really helped. For Lanai, it shows that when a people work together and plan together and then implement immediately, that's why they're so far ahead of this game. So for all the people on Lanai, we really aloha you. We appreciate your leadership. Like Lynn and I said, okay, what you guys need? And you told us what you need because you were prepared and you planned ahead. And that's the lesson, I think, for the rest of Hawaii. For everybody on Kauai and how, mahalo to you guys. We feel a kinship to your islands, being the, they call them the neighbor islands, but I don't know. I think we're maybe the main islands and Honolulu is the big city, right? So, but again, mahalo everybody, and stay safe, everyone, especially during Halloween. Just a quick story, when I was a kid, my tutu used to take me trick-or-treating in Hana, like maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I said, wow, he never like do anything else but trick-or-treating. Well, when I got older, I realized that in Hana, when you go to the subdivision, the kids got candy and the adults got beer.
Yeah.
So, but we're telling everybody do virtual this year. I want to just give a shout out to Leila Perry in Hana because her Homana project and her daughters and her family, what they did was they're doing packages, Halloween packages per families, and the family will drive through by their house and they get, a package for their whole family. So the kids get something, there's an outing, but everything is safe, right? So, she put that together, her and her family. And that's what I mean. We take people in the community that do stuff like this, right? So stay safe, everybody. You're all in our prayers, and Hawaii will get this together.
All right, on. Charlie?
Well, as always, I'd like to extend my greatest mahalo to both of our guests tonight, Senator Kalani English and Representative Lynn DeCoite. Thank you so much for joining us. To our viewers out there, again, as we all said, that we bring the information to you, we inform and educate. Tonight, you got to get a more than an hour glimpse. We talked about a lot of stuff, but we connected it to Lanai. I said it before, Lanai is really a cutaway of a real-time event that probably the rest of the state can learn from. And if it is successful, I'm for one would say it may be hard to replicate, but it's pretty damn close that if we were to replicate it, it could be successful in all parts of the state to fight this virus. But what makes Lanai different from the rest of the counties, and I'll say firsthand because I've had an opportunity to be there in my police career, is that the people, because it's so small, they know each other and they know how each other think. They know the strengths, they know the weaknesses. When people are up, they're all up. When people are down, they pick people up. I'm sure every section of our state is like that. But we need to pull together. So for you out there that's watching, I saw a lot of good comments and I saw several terrible comments from individuals. And we told you folks before, if you want to stay on this show and watch us, no act up, you're gonna get blocked. Tonight was something important for you to know. So the individual that got blocked tonight, the problem is he's not from here. He's from California and he's just another troll acting stupid. He doesn't understand what unity that we have in our islands. You can stay up there and go deal with getting shot. That's your problem. But in Hawaii, we take everything seriously. So our viewers out there, we just want to let you know the individual got X, got 86 from this program. He can never jump on again. Okay. So thank you all for watching tonight. And thank you, even though he was irritating you folks kept it clean. Okay. So thank you very much. Brother Mel?
For the most part. I apologize for that partial F-bomb. That, man, I don't know where that came from because I'm not a swearing man. But that's just the Portuguese passion that comes out, the frustration that, it's like at some point people gotta own up, gotta man up and gotta take responsibility. And, if you mess up, you mess up, move on and make the wrong a right. And I haven't seen that from our administrations, and that's the frustration. I've been a legislator. I know what it's like. The powers of the legislature. A lot of people think the senator, holy moly, the senator can move mountains, can tell a governor what to do. Absolutely not. A lot of people don't understand that division of power, separation of power. So I feel for you guys. I've seen you in various committee meetings that are televised. I watch you guys in action, and the general public don't get to see the both of you and others. But for tonight, the two of you that are here, how hard you fight for the people of Hawaii. So I think it's important that the people understand. These guys not just talking nonsense tonight. This is them, and in fact, they're very they're soldiers for us. So even if they're not in our district, they fight for the people of our entire state. So thank you both for that. Of course, every night we've been asking our viewers to pray for Lanai, our sisters and brothers over there, for our sister county, and the leaders, you folks, our administration, for courage and wisdom and all of that, because I think right now we need some help from up above, regardless of who your up above is. we need some help and some blessings. So I did block some clown tonight, Arthur from LA. Shut up. You guys go stay in California, go walk around the street without your mask, and don't ever come to Kauai or Hawaii for that matter. We welcome dialogue, we welcome debate. We do. But personal attacks and ridiculous attacks on either our viewers or our guests won't be tolerated. On Charlie and me, rip away. But you deal with our guests or our viewers, you're gonna get blocked. And you know what? I'm starting to really enjoy blocking people. The first one was hard, but now I love doing it. So give me a reason. The reason that F-bomb came out, because I saw a couple of those guys, but he was scrolling so fast. I saw the comments, I couldn't figure out who it was, and I couldn't block him from this iPad because it's my wife's account. I had to go do them on my phone. That's why the F-bomb came out. So no, you guys, come on, man. We do this for the benefit of the viewers, not you need one place to go vent. Go start your own Facebook channel and go make your own Facebook Live and go tell the other two people watching what you think. Anyway.
Well, remember what we said before. If you're gonna come on and debate with Mel or myself, in order to debate, remember, you make sure you get D-fish, okay? Just remember.
Get what?
D-fish.
Oh, okay. I tell you, I got to deal with this every night. I deserve an award for dealing with that Hawaiian every single night. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget Saturday night, virtual Halloween trick-or-treat costume contest, our first annual. Please come free. Just jump on, we'll give you the link. You come on, and all you gotta do is show your costume, and oh God, there we go. Our first contestant. Our first contestant. Oh my God. I actually, I swear to God, I thought I had double vision. That bugger looked just like Charlie.
Yeah. You know, somebody thought I was gonna come on as a sticker, but I'm gonna tell you now. I think I get the customer. I'll come on as on spam musubi. I'm gonna try my best.
I think you should be the Cookie Monster. But really, you guys, we've been getting some good prizes. Oh my God. So yeah, please join us Saturday night. Tomorrow night, we're gonna have some fun. I don't even know what we're doing tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have a good discussion tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So again, Senator, Representative, thank you both.
Thank
We
you.
love you guys so much. Thank you for what you guys are doing. Keep up the good work. Send our love and aloha from all of our viewers over to Lanai, to Maui, to Molokai, to all of your district. And we appreciate you guys so much. Okay. Stay safe. We love you guys. God bless.
Guys.
Hi.
Aloha.